I've been in e-commerce for over 13 years now. My brother and I left our corporate jobs back in 2013. I was in property valuations and my brother was in corporate finance. And we read Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Work Week. And within a month, we'd both resigned from our jobs and decided to go out on our own to become entrepreneurs, to become business owners. Now, we didn't actually have a specific plan of what we were going to do. We had some ideas, but we just really wanted to exercise what we felt was our opportunity to go ahead and do so. Since that time, the business that we co-founded, Karmic Cold Press Juice in Melbourne, has done multiple millions, continues to do multiple millions of dollars per year in revenue, purely online, purely direct to consumer. So that's been the number one strategy for that brand the entire way through. In the last 3 years, I've also helped over 250 e-commerce brands scale to record revenue months as well. And over that journey, I've noticed a couple of things, and some I'll discuss today, about what really defines or what really separates the successful ones from the ones that struggle along, the ones that just bubble along. And there's some really key things that hopefully you can take from my observations, honestly, through my experience, that you can then, give yourself a little kickstart, give yourself some motivation to continue on your journey. Because I know that, personally, like e-commerce or business in general can be a very lonely journey without the support. And so that's why I created the Ecom Blueprint program, the community. But when you're doing everything yourself, when you're at home, especially when it's online and doing everything yourself, you operate out of a bit of a silo. You see a lot of people on Facebook groups and online, doing all this amazing stuff and, getting wins in communities and things like that. And it's really easy to feel lonely, like you're missing something, and just not have general connection, even though we technically have connection to the world through online means, but we don't really have that genuine connection. And so when people do come into my programs, I've got the Ecom Blueprint and also an up-level mastermind program that are, higher level, and I help them scale with my one-to-one direct guidance. I talk to them about the same thing, about what it really takes to be a successful e-commerce brand owner. And it starts with this. It starts with a plan. The first thing is you need to know exactly what you're doing, right? Now, this is something that Sam and I, when we started our e-commerce business, took honestly like 5 years to figure out, to actually have some certainty or some confidence in what we were doing in terms of a plan. There's a lot of fumbling around. There's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of second guessing, a lot of lacking confidence, and just throwing some things at the wall. And so we never really felt like we had a proper plan that we were sticking to. The good thing was that we had each other, various skill sets. We were able to, be good at one thing that the other wasn't actually good at. So that helped for sure. A lot of people just solo operate, which is totally fine, and just out of necessity, they have to do that. But the number one thing that I see that people need is a plan. Okay. And so what I often talk about with people, especially when they're enrolling into the program, is that we often spend a large majority of our time planning or understanding or second guessing really what we should be doing. Okay, we call it a plan, but we're really hesitating and lacking confidence in what we should be doing. So we spend about 75 to 80% of actionable time doing that, right? Wasting time. And the other remaining part, actually taking the action and doing the thing that we've actually planned to do. And so one thing that people do when they come in is we squash that 75 to 80% of second guessing, lacking confidence, overwhelm in what they should be doing, just saying, okay, this is exactly what you need to do now, go ahead and do it. And suddenly they've got all of their time to go and take the action. And so the plan is the number one thing. Knowing exactly what your, I call it bleeding neck problem is, exactly what you know you need to do desperately. For us, if it's, traffic, you got a traffic issue, you need to focus there. If your website's not converting, you got to focus there. If your customers aren't coming back, and they should be at a higher percentage at the very least, then you should be focusing there, right? That's our magic 3 formula. But knowing what to do with absolute certainty that's going to drive the needle and grow your business is the most important thing, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing that people do, these multiple 6-figure and multiple 7-figure brand owners, is they take the action. Okay, so once they have the plan, once they've squashed the overwhelm, squashed the lack of confidence, they can go forward and execute with speed. Action and speed of action is the most crucial thing that defines a successful from a struggling or unsuccessful brand owner at any point in time. Okay, and now when we talk about speed, your speed is going to be different from my speed, from the next person, the next person. So this is a subjective thing. What does that mean? It means we can always be faster. We can always be doing more. We can always have more urgency than what we're currently doing, because everybody's standards are different. And as you get further down the line with experience and success as well, it's important to continue to raise your standards, raise your level of expectation when it comes to how fast we should be executing something, how fast we should be taking that action. Okay. But taking the action first and foremost, and then speed to that action, are two really crucial things within the same defining point there that successful e-commerce brand owners do. The third part to that is to learn, right? We get the feedback from that action. good, bad, doesn't really matter, pass, fail, doesn't really matter. It's the response from, say, the market or that marketing effort. In this, if we talk about, ads or content or emails and things like that, right? We took the action of the thing, and then we get feedback from results, and then also where possible from the market, i.e. the results, to understand what we should be doing differently, right? What was the level of success of this particular effort? So I'll relate this to, say, offers. Okay, so say we want to create some offers, we throw it in GPT, or we can just obviously test various offers. It's not that hard to come up with certain offers, but we might have 3, 4, 5 offers that we test throughout a given, 6-month period, let's call it, right? What we do is we plan for that. We take the action on that respective effort, and then we get the data and the feedback from that effort. And we might be able to, rank in terms of like success, all right? Everything's successful no matter what, but in terms of positive results, and let's just call it sales levels, what was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order of success? And that determines that is direct feedback from the market, from the specific marketing effort or the offer in this case. And so that's exactly what I mean. We need to obviously be measuring the results to get that direct feedback, that accurate feedback, but getting the feedback and being able to gather those results is super, super important. All right. So the first part we've talked about is have the plan. The second part is to have the action and speed to that action. The third part is to be able to get the data, the feedback from that particular effort that we've been working on. And again, this can be related across all aspects of the business. It could be an update to the website, for example, right? We plan it, we action it, we get the feedback, we've been measuring the results, we know what's working better than the last one, or what we need to actually improve upon, for the next time as well. Okay. And then the fourth component becomes iteration, right? Meaning changes based on those results. So if something worked really, really well, okay, cool. What worked well? Why did it work well? And what could we do to level it up again? If something didn't work as well, okay, what didn't work well? Why didn't it work well? And what can we actually change to improve it next time? So it's actually the same, functionality of that iteration process, but we need to assess the results and iterate or make changes regardless of whether it was good, bad, or otherwise. Okay. So what this actually does is it makes us smarter, right? The level of intelligence, the level of your intelligence is actually to do with how you change based on data, essentially. Okay. So if you're not changing anything, if you're doing the same thing, we all know that quote, doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results, it's the definition of insanity. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So if you're an intelligent human being, and we all have the capabilities of doing that, the general definition of that is doing something, getting the feedback and making changes to improve that based on that market data and feedback. It's quite simple, but we need to do it in a very conscious way and continue to do it. Okay. So what you do from that fourth stage, we've got plan, action, data, and then iteration, is we actually create an arrow back to the plan, and it becomes a feedback loop. Okay, meaning it just keeps perpetuating based on what the results were and what we need to change or iterate. What is now the plan? What is now the action? What is now the data? What is now the iteration? It just continues to go like that. And that's how businesses go like this. They level up over time. They're improving things continually over time. Now, as I say, you're probably doing this. This is human nature to be doing this, but if you can do it from a conscious level, it's going to improve your results dramatically. Like, this is, again, the difference between people who have been struggling for 2, 3, 4 years. Then they come into the program and I give them a clear plan. I motivate them and give them the tools to enable them to take action quickly. I give them the tools and the awareness to actually track things properly. And then obviously the education and the strategies to iterate things properly. And that's when they get exponential results. I call it that hockey stick growth, because they follow this very clear path. They've been aware of this entire process and the importance of this entire process, and understanding that there's nothing really outside of this process that you need to do to be an uber successful business owner. Honestly, it's exactly what Sam and I did with our various businesses, exactly what people have done, doing less than 2, 3, 4K per month, that go on in the years to come, sometimes months to come, and do 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 per month, right? The client that I've served the most went on to do more than $1 million in a month. Okay. And again, what I've observed working with him to get him to his first 100K month and beyond that as well, from like 1 or 2K, is exactly what I've just laid out for you today. The plan, confidence in the plan, certainty in the plan. The action, speed to that action, the data and the feedback, and then the iteration. Just keep feeding that through and compounding those efforts, right? And so this might seem simple, but hopefully I've been able to lay it out clearly for you to be aware of it and start to do it consciously, right? Start to actually consciously do it. Don't assume that you're just going to remember things or retain things. Don't assume that you'll just learn and get smarter as you actually go, because sometimes we need to pull ourselves up and say, hang on, I really need to be methodical about this. I know that I personally do anyway, just, through my experience. Okay. So look, I really hope this was valuable for you. This is honestly the difference between those that are very successful versus those that continue to struggle or ultimately, fail and fold up their businesses, is exactly this. Okay. I can't emphasize that enough, but hopefully it's been valuable for you. If it was, I'd love a like, love a subscribe. If there's anything you need or anything I can do for you, you can click on the link below. We can have a chat, see if the program might even be right for you. You can get some more information about it. But nonetheless, thanks for being here, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.